Hi, I'm Paul Dahn, a solution architect here at Aembit. Today I'd like to talk to you about securing your CI/CD pipeline using Aembit. I'll do this here in GitLab by showing you how we're securing a pipeline for this project. I have my Aembit demo project and the YAML file that defines the pipeline. This is a really straightforward pipeline. All it does is make one call out to an external service beyond identity and pulls back some information. This is really meant, though, to illustrate how your pipeline, which is interacting with a variety of services, could use Aembit to secure those connections. I'm going to start by looking at how this was done prior to Aembit. And that's this commented line at the bottom. You can see I'm using curl to make a call out to the identities endpoint at beyond identity. And then, of course, you can see here at the end, I have the authorization header with a bearer token, or an OAuth token that's used to authenticate to beyond identity. And here at the top, I have my beyond identity token defined and the token itself. Now, of course, in a production environment, this would not be in the YAML file. It would be stored out in a vault somewhere, and then here I would have to get that back from the vault. But when this is done, it needs to be touched by a person. So somebody would need to go to the beyond identity console, go to the application, and generate this API token, which of course I'll say is demo token. Now when they do this, they have to choose what scopes they're going to add to that token, which the person generating this token may not know exactly what scopes are needed, and they may over provision or over permission that application. And then of course, it generally has long expiry times. And that's because each time a new token needs to be generated, somebody needs to be involved in that. So it's usually looking at the order of 6 to 12 months before that token expires. Now, if we compare this to what Aembit does, for the developer, it's actually much more straightforward. Instead of having to work with the authorization header and connect out to a vault to get that token, instead, they can just make a call to the end service as though authentication was not required. So here, I'm just using curl to make a call out to that identities endpoint. There's nothing happening after it. It just goes out and provides that access. And then Aembit does the heavy lifting around the authentication. And there what we do is we validate the identity of this client workload, the pipeline itself, using cryptographically strong methods, and then determine should it have access to that end service, and if so, what credential should I give it to access it, and then automatically puts that credential in the connection. Now I'm going to go over to the Aembit admin console to show you how this is done. This is our access policies list where we have our client workloads on the left side and then what services they should have access to on the right. And for this GitLab job, I have this top access policy, and I'll just dig into that. So here I'm using the host name of my GitLab runner to identify it. That's running in AWS, so I'm connecting out to the AWS metadata service to validate the signature on the identity document, and then I'm matching on the instance ID of that VM. And then, now that I know the left side, which is the client details, I can then look at what the server side. So I identify the service it's connecting to by the FQDN of that resource. Along with it, I have information about the protocol and how we authenticate to that service so that we can properly inject that credential. And then finally, what type of credential will be used. And Beyond Identity uses OAuth. So we generate a new OAuth token every time it's needed. This means that you can change the scopes available to that client workload on an as-needed basis, and each token is only valid for the length that it's being used. And then, of course, finally, every time that client workload requests a token, we're also giving you information recording that access to the service, so you have a record of everything that's accessing each of these services within your environment. And if we look down through this, we see that it's authorized, that we identify the client workload, the service that it's accessing, that there is a valid access policy providing access, and then, of course, what credential we created to do that. I hope this helps you understand Aembit and what we do with the CI/CD pipeline, and have a great day.